Sheet Metal Training Step 7.1, an overview of the basic reports. Now that we've looked at setting up the program, building rectangular pressure files, round pressure files, and even looked at the accessories in the catalog, we've spent some time reviewing the labor and how to adjust it, it's time to look at the reports. This session will be an overview of the basic reports and how to use them, and what they're designed for. To begin, we'll go back to the job file, and I already have a job taken off that has 3 rooftop units in it, and it's only got 1 zone listed. To start, I'm going to go to the Reports tab here at the top of the screen, and I'm going to select the basic reports. These are the most common, most typical reports that everyone runs. We'll start off with the one-page summary. When the report opens, you'll see that it's divided into sections. The horizontal lines divide up the sections. The rectangular section is the top area. Starting with the summary, we've got the rectangular runs of ductwork, 11. That means I click the duct button 11 times within my zone. Feet of ductwork, 68.17 total feet. Standard lengths is broken down by 9, non-standards is 10, and the total number of fittings is 14. The feet through the center line of the fittings is 9.5 feet. So 9.5 feet and 68.17 would give you your total center line length through the rectangular. The weight section is broken up into categories as well. Total rectangular pounds, 1,300. And that's broken up with duct, 675, non-standard lengths, 376, fittings, 250, and then the duct percentage is 51.91 or 52% of the job. Pounds per hour, it's literally taking the pounds of the duct and dividing it by the fabrication labor of the duct and representing it here. This information is not set up in the program. There is nowhere I can go find 58.3 pounds per hour and adjust that. This is just simple math done on this screen for you. The fitting to duct ratio is showing you that for every 1 piece of duct that you've taken off, you take off on average a 3/4 of a fitting. Moving to the right, we can see the labor. 25.83 fabrication hours for all of the rectangular and 23.34 installation hours for all of the rectangular, and then it's broken up by duct and fittings. Spiral has the same simple summary broken out, and oval as well. Let's scroll further down on the report. The accessories in the catalog items are giving you totals of the items that were used. Same thing with the weight and the labor. The insulation is broken out separately so that you can see approximately how many square feet you're going to need for wrap, how much you're going to use for liner, what the labor is, and what the material cost is. These labor hours for the insulation and all of the components, hangers, wraps, rods, angles, and vanes, and all of the seams and sealers and joints, they're already included in the hours that are listed up here above. These are simply breakouts so that you can see your components separated. You cannot get total labor by adding this to the number above and expecting it to be down here. It's already included. The labor summary at the bottom and the job total summary gives you the total fabrication, install, and other hours for all of the products. Pounds per hour factors, total pounds, total item count, and then total labor cost, material cost, and then a job grand total. This simple summary is designed to give you a 1-page overview of the job. Let's close this and run the next report. Listed directly below the 1-page summary is the extended summary. We've went from a single-page summary to a multi-page summary, which is a comprehensive report that summarizes all of the components and parts that go into the job. When we click this, it'll run. It's got to calculate the job and split up the information into the appropriate pages of the report. The first page of the extended summary is a job quote recap. The top section deals with the rectangular ductwork. The round is broken out here, oval, and then the miscellaneous items or accessory items in catalog are listed on the lower right. The rectangular recap shows the same as the simple summary with quantities, pounds, fabrication labor, and then your grand total. The same breakout for the round is available. At the bottom of the report, you'll see that we've got a labor breakdown, total job pounds, job cost, and then finally a total grand total. If we go to the next page, we can see that it's a little bit more comprehensive breakout. Starting with the top here with the rectangular totals, we can see that the non-standard lengths and standard lengths and fittings have all been broken out, and then we give you the total number of pieces. The lineal feet, the pounds, fabrication hours, install hours, material cost, labor, and then the subtotal. Below that is the components that specifically deal with the rectangular ductwork. In this job, there was no wrap used on rectangular. However, there was liner used. Here's a total for the hangers, the angles, the rods, and all of the components that are involved. One of the components that you do not see is the material, the actual galvanized metal used to manufacture those items. And that's because it's too comprehensive to break out on a report such as this. The next page will deal with your material breakdown. Looking at the material and gauge breakdown, we can see that it first starts off summarizing by pressure class. 2-inch standard Smacna low pressure galvanized was used for this. And the galvanized rectangular duct is broken out showing that I have 22 gauge and 20 gauge being used. Here's a total for all gauges, here's the components added in, and then a total for this particular material type. The rectangular fittings are broken out in their separate report, and same thing with the galvanized spiral coil and the galvanized spiral fittings. The material gauge report will be as long as the number of materials that you have. If we go to the next page, we can see that the liner breakdown comes up next. So 1-inch liner was used. Here's the total number of square feet and what it was used on. So the standard length duct looks like it was taking the most square feet, but we have some non-standard and some fittings in there as well. Fabrication hours and material cost for the liner. Going to the next page, you can see that we have the same breakout for the wrap. It was only used on the spiral pipe and the accessories, meaning the items from the accessory pallet. Snap lock pipe, adjustable elbows, spin-ins, and start collars, and the like. Going to the next page, we can see that we have a joint breakdown. Galvanized standing S and drive. What were the installation hours, the fabrication hours, and the total material costs. And we have this breakout for all of the joint types that were used. Moving further into the report, we'll see that we get to a joint cut list. So it'll show you that for your standing slips, you need, at 22 inches, you need to cut 10 of them. For your drives, at 14 inches, you need 7, and at 18 inches, you need 3. Going further into the report, we can see the joint sealer breakdown. So we're going to use butyl gasket, and we need 128 feet of it just on the duct alone, 209 feet total. Here's the installation time and the material cost for it. Moving forward, we get to the seam information. So Pittsburgh, a total of 51.64 feet of Pittsburgh. You can see this would be a very handy report if you wanted to know your total feet of weld. Seam type, and then also the seam sealer if it was used. Now we're getting into the reinforcement rod breakdown. Same similar breakdown. Total number of times it was used, what was the length, fabrication labor, and material cost. Now we get into the hangers. On galvanized ductwork, we used 1-inch by 18 gauge galvanized strap. On the duct, we used it 12 times, and only 2 fittings needed it. So 14 total uses of this strap for 165.67 total feet. And then we get the material cost over to the right. You can see it's broken out for spiral pipe as well. And then the accessories use 20 gauge straps, so they would have their own category. Now we're looking at the hangers with the 3/8 rod and 2-inch by 20 gauge galvanized bands. This would be for the spiral pipe. We're getting into the vane information now. So the 2-inch double wall was used 2 times on rectangular and 2 times on the round. Now we're getting into the accumulative reports. So spiral pipe, we had 40.58 feet of 16-inch spiral pipe, 19.17 feet of 18-inch pipe. So you can see you can round all this off to the whole foot, and you can order pretty close to what you need. Your fittings, we had 2 16-inch 90-degree gored elbows. We had 1 18-inch bell mouth. So it's a pretty extensive report, giving you a lot of the information that you need. When you get to the spiral T's and crosses, we can see we had a straight body tap with concentric, reducer, and collar, and it was a 12-8-10. And then the last page is for your accessory items. This information will be accumulated as well. So I had 30 feet of 4-inch flex, 18 feet of 6-inch flex. The rest of the report's available to you on the Basic tab. are an audit trail, which is going to give you the list of items in the order that you took them off. The zone recap, it's just going to give you a detailed recap of each individual zone. As you can see, I only have one, so the summary report would give me the same. Zone subzone recap. This will break down the information inside the zone by each individual subzone that you created. And then phase system summary will give you your totals based on phases and systems. And then equipment catalog summary. This is going to summarize any of the catalog equipment that you took off. The item detail report is the report that we use during the labor training. It gives us a basic overview of each individual item. If you have 300 items on your job, you're going to get 300 pages in your report. Not something that we recommend sending to the printer. Well, this concludes the walkthrough of the basic reports.